How's it going, everybody? I want to share a new addition to the handgun family. This is a Sig Sauer M11A1. I picked this up about 5 or 6 days ago after waiting about 4.5 to 5 years to pull the trigger and get a full-size Sig pistol. I've always wanted a 226 or a 229. I never really knew which one, but I always pushed these SIGs off to the back end of my want list because of the price. You all know that, SIGs like this are, $8.50, $850 and up. So I really had trouble justifying and ponying up the money for a semi-automatic pistol whenever I can go out and I can buy, let's say, a Glock or an M&P or an XD for right around that $500 mark. And all those other handguns I just mentioned are, really good pistols. But I always had it in my head that I did want to try a SIG. I've never fired one. Other than a SIG P238 that I had, that little gun proved not to be the absolute most reliable. I had quite a few feeding and jamming issues with it, but it isn't on the same frame as the 226, 229, the big guns. So I always wanted to get one. You always hear the stories in the gun shop and your buddies and stuff. They say, you ever shoot one? They say, you'll be ready to sell your Glocks. They just feel phenomenal. They point great. They're just a much higher quality built firearm than, let's say, a Glock. I have 5 Glocks. I love Glocks, so I'm not bashing Glock by no means. But I just never could really get myself to pull the trigger on it. So a couple weeks ago, I went into a couple of local gun shops. I was going to go in and look at the LCR-X. One of our shops had one. I was in there looking at it. They also had an LCR and 357 Magnum. So that started pulling me. I was like, well, geez, looking at them, and I was like, I got to think about it. So I'm just kind of walking around the store, and I go over, they had a couple of AKs, and I'm looking at those. Come back around to the pistol counter again, and I start looking at the SIGs. Well, the owner of the gun store and one of the guys that worked there started talking with me about them and stuff, and they both were just really pushing, the SIGs, that they have them, you'll love them. And it's like, it's the same song and dance. I've been hearing this for years. So that kind of got the fire stoked for me getting a SIG. Left, waited about 8-9 days, did research in the meantime, knew by then that the 229 is the one that I wanted. So I went out and I purchased not a 229 but a 228 or the M11A1. But I haven't had a chance to fire this yet. I really like it. It is a stainless steel slide. It's a milled stainless steel slide. Aluminum alloy frame. Doesn't have, the polymer frame on it. The gun weighs 29.8 ounces on my scale with a empty 15-round magazine with 15 rounds of 115 grain 9mm. It weighs in at an even 36 ounces on my scale. Now, Sig Sauer says that this gun with an empty magazine in it is 32 ounces. I'm showing 29.8. Anyway, that is what it is. This comes with 2 magazines with an option for a third. They give you a little card inside of the case that this comes in that you fill out, send it back to them, and they will send you a free magazine, because the M11A1 is advertised as coming with 3 magazines, which anybody that knows anything about SIG stuff, they're very proud of other things other than just their pistol. A SIG magazine like this is like $45. It's just crazy. So I will definitely be sending off for that third magazine. Show you just a little bit about this. This gun is empty. Nothing in it. M11A1. I think that thing right there is, you know, this is that one of them readers, and I scanned this thing just to see what it would show, and it really didn't show me jack crap. Bring it up on my phone if it'll show it. This right here is what it brought up. Now I typed in up there at the top where it says SIG MP228M. I typed that in, but it gave me that right there. Shows M11A1, I guess serial numbers or whatever. That's what it brought up. So I think that this kind of stuff might be put on here for military or whatever, for inventory purposes. They can just scan them, you know, in and out whenever they issue them. You know, like in the military, you're issued your duty weapon for the day. In the evening when you get off, you take it back to the armory, you turn it back in. I think they use these just to scan them in and out. It makes it a lot easier to track. That's my guess. This gun is about the same size as a Glock 19. This is essentially, this says P228 on here, M11A1 up here. But whenever you get right down to the brass taxes of it, and you start looking, that's the magazine it takes, a P229-1 magazine. Okay? So it's kind of like a hybrid, if you will. It says 228 there, takes a 229 mag, even the barrel shroud right there, 229. Got some fuzz on there from my towel. You know, I was looking at holsters, and from what I'm gathering, you buy a 229 holster, it'll fit this just fine. But the gun really feels good in hand. I did some looking at the 229s, and I just happened to come across this. They had two 229s, and they had this M11A1. This actually comes with a short reset trigger in it. The 229s that they had did not. I did not know what that meant for sure, but I'm going to demonstrate it to you right here. I'm going to pull this. I'm going to actuate the slide. Round just went off, and watch how short this reset is. Right there. And then whenever you go to pull it again, there's no take up, no travel. Boom, it's right there. The other guns that I was looking at that did not have the short reset trigger, the reset would happen, you know, like out in here. It would reset, and then, no, actually, if it was in a single action, like this, it would reset. Let's see. Okay, now I'm in double action now. Let me pull this back again. Okay, there's a reset. They would reset like right out in here. It'd reset. And then you'd go to pull it again, and you'd have travel coming back until you hit the stop point, where this doesn't have that. And I really dug that. I really did like that. This comes with night sights, SIG light night sights. The other 229s did as well. The regular 229s, the grips on them did not have the grip screws. The grips were more tacky. The grip was a little skinnier. This one's just a little bit fatter, which I liked as well. I have, you know, relatively large hands, and I like the feel of this one, but I like the tackiness of the grip on the 229s, where this one is just kind of got some stippling here, but it's kind of slick. It really doesn't, you know, it isn't grippy, which I kind of liked, you know, the grippy. Trigger pull on this in double action. SIG says 10 pounds. My trigger scale right here, it showed, it was like, I pulled it twice, it showed like 10 pounds 14 ounces, and then 10 pounds 15 ounces. Single action, SIG claims, I believe, 4.5 pounds. I was pulling like 4 pounds 9 ounces, 4 pounds 10 ounces. This gun is not broke in. I have not fired at one time. I figure once I get a few hundred rounds through it, the trigger, all the stuff will start, meshing together. Trigger will lighten up, get a little smoother, blah, 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 blah. Now I'm going to do something here that I did not do in my last take, because I want to show this. Take this down, no pulling the trigger. I thought this was kind of wild. I'm just not used to it. I'm so used to Glocks. But this is the spring system in this. It's not captured or anything like that. That thing just pushes in there and goes in and does its thing. But another thing I wanted to show you is the rails. The rails run the full length of the gun here. That's all rail. And you got the little bit of rail back here. Whereas, like with the Glocks, you have rail that's like this long. Nothing up here. This one runs the full length of the frame. A lot of people say, that will give you improved accuracy, blah, 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 blah. Whether it, does or not, I don't know. I don't think I'm a good enough shooter that I could really say, oh man, this is a lot more accurate than a Glock. Because there's just so much human factor that goes into that. And a lot of people don't want to recognize that. They'll have a better day shooting a SIG, and they'll be like, man, this SIG's a lot more accurate than a Glock ever thought about being, Of course, typical, decocker. Safely drops the hammer. I guess I should have. Uh-oh. Let's try this again. Push this back. Push that up. Jeez. You can tell I'm a stinking SIG newbie, huh? I'll drop that down. But I've got high hopes. I mean, I really love the gun. I love the way it feels. I think it's a good looking gun. I like the aluminum alloy, frame on it. The extra weight, of course, when I carry it. Yeah, I'll probably say, man, I wish this thing was lighter. But I'll tell you something else, too. I like the fact that when I put one in the pipe, I can drop the hammer, and then if I need to pull this, I can pull it. I don't have to cock nothing. I don't have to pull off no safeties or anything. I can pull it and just start firing. Granted, you can do the same thing with a Glock, okay? But I like the added mental in my head of the hard, long trigger pull. Unlike the Glock on the first shot, it's all going to be the same, right? 5.5 pounds. If you're pulling that thing out and you're, stinking freaking out or something, and you touch that thing off not thinking, it's going to take a lot more force to pull this sucker back and have it go off than it is, a striker fired Glock or something. I like that in my mind. A lot of people I know do not like going from double to single. I'm going to have to find that out for myself. But this is my first, my first hammer fired other than that Taurus, which I had that Taurus, I bet, for, oh man, I don't know how many years I had it. I would guess about 6 or 7 years, and I guarantee you I didn't fire any more than 50 rounds through that thing. Back when I bought it, it was when I got separated in my first marriage, and I just wanted to buy a 9mm, and I went and bought that. I wasn't a shooter back then, That thing sat in a wooden locked up box for years, and I just never took it out and shot it. So this will be a whole new experience right here. But I'm going to try and cut this down. This isn't much shorter than the first one, but it is a little bit shorter. Hope I didn't overlook anything. Trigger pulls, weights, features, slides. That should do it. That should do it. If you need to buy a magazine for this, you buy 229 mags. If you need to buy a holster for this, you buy 229 holsters. That's kind of what I've gotten out of it. Thanks for watching, guys. Y'all take care. And I will follow up later once I'm able to shoot it and all that kind of stuff. We'll see ya.